Welcome back to Megaphone, everybody. Today, we are diving into promos, and we're going to show you how you can create a promo and some of the different ways you can use promos to connect with your audience and to promote things that are important to you and your podcast. So let's go ahead and get started. After you log in, you're going to come over here and click the tab for promos, and that's going to bring you to the main screen here. And this is a snapshot of all the promos that you have created within your account. So as a network, if we are running some sort of network-wide promo, you're not going to see that here. These are promos that you and your team have specifically created. And in this case, I have created a similar promo that is currently running on 4 of my shows. Today, we are going to go through the process of adding that same promo to my 5th show because I haven't scheduled that yet. I wanted to walk you through the whole process. And you can tell that all of these titles are pretty similar. And that is because at the time of this recording, our whole world is going through the coronavirus epidemic. Okay, the pandemic. And as a result, I wanted to run a promo, for lack of a better term, that just tells our audience that we understand what's happening now in the world and thanks them for listening to our episodes. That is considered a promo, right? I'm not expecting to get paid for that. It's not a campaign. It's a message that I wanted to go out across all of our episodes to all of our listeners, whether they're listening to the most recent episode we just released or the very first episode we ever created. And that's what we're going to show you how to do today. So some additional information you can find here on this main page is the state, whether it's on or off, if it's deliverable, and I'll show you this in a little bit, but if it wasn't deliverable, it would mean that the MP3 file hasn't been uploaded yet, and you basically have a red dot there that said something was wrong. This number is going to change over here for approximate impressions. Impressions are the amount of time someone has heard this specific promo. Keep in mind, and this is one of the cool things with dynamic insertion, just because someone starts to listen to an episode doesn't mean they're actually going to get to the point in your episode where they hear a specific campaign or promo. Because if they quit listening before they get to that part in the show that triggers that spot, they're not going to hear it. So the nice thing is these metrics are very accurate and very real. So these numbers are very accurate. Of course, over here you can see real easily the target, the podcast that these promos are playing on. Okay, so let's go through the process of what it's like to create a promo. So the first thing we're going to do is click on Create Promo. If you've already run campaigns or if you're familiar with campaigns, some of this stuff is going to look familiar to you. Self-isolation, isolation/encouragement. And this is going to be for my podcast called Newbies. In this case, I'm not going to set a specific amount of impressions, but you can. You can say, listen, play this until it reaches 50,000 impressions, 100,000 impressions, whatever number you put in here. Just like campaigns, you're going to tell it what position you want it to run and what priority you want it to run. So position, if you click this, you see there's up to 5 positions it could run in. And right now, we haven't told it if it's a pre-roll, a mid-roll, or a post-roll. I'm running these as pre-rolls. I'll show you how to define that in a second. But technically speaking, Megaphone gives you up to 5 spots for pre-rolls. So 5 spots for pre-rolls, 5 spots for mid-rolls, and 5 spots for post-rolls. Most of those you aren't going to use, but just know that's kind of the limit. You could also choose no position. That basically makes it a floating promo, if you will, meaning it hasn't been assigned to a specific spot, so it's going to go in the first available. So that can be helpful because if you have something scheduled for, let's just say it's position 1, so it's going to be a mid-roll spot, position number 1, and you forgot that you also have a campaign, an advertiser that's going to pay you that's also slated to be position 1, priority 1, you're not going to hear this ad, at least until that campaign stops. But if you're just not sure, where your ads are at, or, you don't want to figure it out basically, or you want an ad to automatically kick on when a campaign is done, doesn't matter what spot it is, you're fine with that, then you can click no position. But some of this stuff is very similar to campaigns. You can geo-target. Right now, the default is this is going out for all countries, anyone that listens to the episode. But I could X out of that. I could select the country, the region, the DMA, the zip code as well. But I'm going to keep that as all countries. Just like campaigns, you're going to set your start date and your end date, and this does trump any other information in here. So if this campaign is set to go from March 29th, let's say to the end of April, then that's when it's going to kick off. Even up here, if you said that you wanted this to be 50,000 impressions, and that's really what you're aiming for, this is optional. Setting the date is not optional, okay? And so if it gets to April 30th and you haven't reached 50,000 impressions, this is still going to kick off, okay? Meaning it's going to wrap up this promo. It's no longer going to run on your episodes. Over here is where you designate pre-roll, post-roll, or mid-roll. So for this, I've already said that I want this to be a pre-roll. So I select that, then I click this little box here, and it's going to ask me where my file is. So for this, I have created one for newbies in this folder. Okay, and up at the very, very top, you might be able to see this purple bar. Okay, so now that I know it's completely uploaded, right? Because we had that progress bar, it happened really quickly. This is only a 10 or 15 second promo, so it didn't take long to do. Then we're gonna come down here. We have the option of running a promo on specific podcasts, right? So I could select, if this were a promo where I didn't go in and make it very specific to each podcast, like saying, hey, newbies, we're going to give you this message, let me tell you about this. If it was more of a general message that said, hey, parents, and I wanted to put this on a bunch of my podcasts that focused on parents, then I could select multiple podcasts. But in this case, I do like to make things more personal. So I know my MP3 specifically says, hey, newbies. So I only want this to run on my newbie show. So I select that. The other option you could do too is I don't know if you noticed it, you could select a promo just to run on specific episodes, but I usually select the entire podcast. All right, so if all the information looks good here, then you actually do have a notes section. So if you wanted to write specific notes about the promo, or let's say it was a cross-promotional kind of thing, and so you wanted to write notes in there of what you agreed to do with the other podcasts that you're partnered with, and how long it was going to run, and what you agreed to say, any kind of notes, you could certainly enter it there. In this case, I'm going to click Save, and it's going to bounce me back to the main promo page here. Now, I did say that I wanted this to be 50,000 impressions. With these, I didn't, right? So that's why this one looks a little bit different. I'll probably go back in there and fix that. With these, I just said, from this date to this date. But you can see how it's automatically processing the audio, and once it's available, you'll see this turn to green, and it'll say deliverable. And you can now see that it is fully uploaded, and we know that it is currently being delivered because this is changed to deliverable. If you want to stop a campaign for any reason, perhaps for a short amount of time or indefinitely, you can toggle between on and just click this off button. So even though it says it's deliverable, that just means that it has, meaning Megaphone has all the information it needs to run the promo, but it doesn't have to run the promo. If you click off, then it's not going to run. But in this case, we definitely want this to run. Okay, guys, that is an example of how you create a promo. The other thing I want to tell you is the preference that Megaphone gives promos, which it basically doesn't give it a preference. So when you are adding these dynamic ad markers, Megaphone has to prioritize, okay, if you have a promo that's set to go at a certain time and you have a campaign that's set to go at a certain time, which one do they give priority to? So just as a refresher, I said this numerous times, and actually up here at the top, just in case you forget, it says it too. The priority that Megaphone gives is any campaign that you run. So those are paid spots where you're working with an advertiser. Any campaign is going to take preference or priority. Then if you are part of the Megaphone targeted marketplace and you decide that you want to incorporate those ads in your show, then the second priority is the MTM ads. Then the third priority is promos. So promos are definitely at the end, and that's for a very good reason. Megaphone wants you to make money, and it doesn't want to put a promo in to a spot where you could actually make money, right? Okay, guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. Have fun with promos.